My people, I did not come to power to serve myself. I came because our land is bleeding. I came because we must break the chains holding Africa back. We will fight, and we will win. Not just for Burkina Faso, but for all of Africa.
When President Ibrahim Traoré made that bold declaration, the world took notice. But what came next shocked even his closest allies. Because when a leader dares to speak the truth, and then acts on it, those who benefit from the lies begin to panic. What exactly did President Ibrahim Traoré do that made powerful forces across the globe want him silenced? Why do foreign governments, multinational corporations, and even some African elites want him dead? Stay with us, because what you're about to hear is not just a story, it's a revelation. And by the end of this documentary, you'll understand why Ibrahim Traoré has become the most hunted leader in modern African history. President Ibrahim Traoré was just 34 years old when he became the transitional president of Burkina Faso in 2022, a former army captain with a deep understanding of his people's pain. He quickly rose from the barracks to the presidential palace, not through corruption or political games, but through the will of a people who had had enough. Enough of insecurity, enough of foreign control, enough of watching their resources stolen while their children starved. The moment he took power, Traoré made one thing clear: Burkina Faso would no longer be a puppet state. And he didn't just speak, he acted. One of his first moves was cutting ties with France, the former colonial master that many believed still held the country in an invisible chokehold. French troops were asked to leave. Military agreements were torn apart. French companies controlling mining interests were told their time was up. For the first time in decades, Burkina Faso was being governed by a Burkinabé who put the people first. But that decision sent shockwaves through Europe. Let's begin with the real core of the conflict: resources. Burkina Faso is rich in gold. Very rich. It's the fourth largest gold producer in Africa. Yet its people remain among the poorest. For years, most of that gold was extracted by foreign companies, especially French firms, and then shipped abroad. Local communities saw nothing. No schools, no roads, no hospitals, just holes in the ground and destroyed farmlands. President Traoré began the process of nationalizing these resources. He demanded fair contracts. He ordered audits of foreign mining operations. And most critically, he began the process of giving local cooperatives more access to these resources. This was seen as a direct threat by foreign corporations, who had grown fat and powerful on Africa's exploitation. But the attack on Traoré didn't come only from abroad. Inside his own continent, he began stepping on toes. Because there are African leaders, yes, our own people who benefit from the status quo. They receive loans, gifts, and support from foreign interests in exchange for loyalty. These leaders viewed Traoré as a dangerous influence. If one young soldier could inspire an entire population to stand up, what if that spread to their own countries? It didn't take long for the pressure to mount. Propaganda campaigns began. Western media started painting Traoré as a dictator. They questioned the legitimacy of his rule. They warned about extremism. The same playbook used on Gaddafi in Libya and Thomas Sankara decades ago was being opened once again. And Traoré knew it. He doubled down. He formed a new alliance with Mali and Niger, two other West African nations led by military regimes tired of neo-colonialism. Together, they announced a withdrawal from ECOWAS, a regional body many saw as serving Western interests more than African unity. Then came the real turning point. President Ibrahim Traoré gave permission for the deployment of the VDP, the Volunteers for the Defense of the Fatherland. These were civilian fighters trained to defend their communities from terrorism. But their purpose was greater. Traoré was building a people's army, one loyal to the land, not to foreign powers. He also invited Russian support through the Wagner Group, just as Mali had done. While controversial, this move signaled a shift in power dynamics. For the first time in a long time, Burkina Faso wasn't looking to the West for help. It was building its own path, with whoever respected its sovereignty. The reaction was swift. Intelligence reports began to surface. Assassination plots, economic sabotage, cyber attacks. Western embassies started issuing warnings to their citizens. The message was clear. Traoré must be stopped by any means necessary. But here's the deeper layer most people don't talk about. Traoré began a campaign of mindset change. He went on TV, speaking not as a politician, but as a brother. He told the youth to reject materialism and laziness. He urged civil servants to serve with dignity. He reduced the luxuries of office. No flashy convoys, no private jets, no expensive suits. He dressed like the people, lived among the people, and built housing for displaced families, instead of building a presidential mansion. This terrified the elite class not just in Burkina Faso but across Africa, because a leader like that is dangerous, not because he kills, but because he inspires. And when the masses are inspired, they become ungovernable by fear. By mid-2024, things intensified. France cut development aid. Sanctions were threatened. ECOWAS leaders met behind closed doors. Reports of French and American intelligence operations in neighboring countries increased. There were whispers of a coup attempt. Traoré increased his personal security, but never stopped moving among the people. Meanwhile, videos of him went viral, speaking in markets, holding children, visiting injured soldiers, burying the dead with his own hands. His enemies increased, but so did his support. The African diaspora began to wake up. In Paris, London, New York, Toronto, young Africans began rallying behind Traoré. He became more than a president. He became a symbol of hope, a symbol that maybe, just maybe, Africa could rise again, not through foreign aid, but through African unity. But symbols are dangerous to empires. President Ibrahim Traoré is facing what many revolutionary African leaders faced beforehand, like Patrice Lumumba, like Thomas Sankara, like Muammar Gaddafi. Enemies come not just with guns but with narratives, with economic strangulation, with pressure through international organizations, with internal betrayal. Traoré knows he is in danger, but he also knows the cause is bigger than his own life. So, what now? What happens if the enemies succeed? Burkina Faso may fall back into chaos. The alliance with Mali and Niger may break. Africa may retreat back into the arms of dependency. But if Traoré survives, if his ideas spread, then a new Africa may be born. One where leaders serve, not steal. One where resources remain at home. One where children don't have to cross deserts for dreams. One where being African is no longer an apology but a badge of honor. And that is exactly why they want him gone. Because the world is not ready for a strong Africa. But President Ibrahim Traoré is making them ready, one fearless act at a time. The next time you hear someone call him dangerous, ask, dangerous to who? Not to the poor, not to the oppressed, not to those praying for change. He is dangerous to the thieves in suits, to the diplomats in disguise, to the architects of silent slavery. This is why we must speak, we must pray, we must share. Because Africa will never be free until we protect those who fight for her. May the ancestors watch over President Ibrahim Traoré. May his courage awaken our own. And may Africa rise, not tomorrow, but today. Africa must not remain the same. Share this video. Leave your prayer for President Ibrahim Traoré in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more truth-telling documentaries like this.
The role now falls to you. Train pioneers. Teach them to love their homeland. Teach them to have confidence in themselves. Teach them to love their neighbors. Teach them to live as Burkinabe. This mission now helps you to evolve. Teach them everything you can so that they become very good citizens of tomorrow and ensure the succession. Your role is indeed very complicated because you now have to play the psychologist. In your classes, you indeed have children who have lost everything. You have many children who have lost their parents, who have lost their families. You have children who have experienced atrocities. You have children who have witnessed heinous crimes, who are traumatized, who are in shock. You must act as psychologists. You must ensure that these children forget this violence, become themselves again, and instill in them everything they need to be the citizens of tomorrow.